Hello and welcome, it's Japan. I haven't done an Overwatch tier list in a while, and I had an idea for one. So if you see it, it says survive either way or die. It's because I was thinking what heroes would survive during a zombie apocalypse. Now I think the way to do it is basically there's like a situation where they're kind of getting overran and they just survivability of like over time. So we'll kind of go off of both of those. I feel like some of these have good abilities, but some of them might not have the capabilities to survive, on their own, or like the ability to get out of like mobility to and I'm thinking these zombies are fast zombies. I think they're running zombies, like full chaser type ones, and I think with a little bit of extra little strength where they can maybe dig into some of these metal. We're just gonna go with that because I think that a lot of these metal guys would have a lot easier time. Not necessarily that they'd be infected. I guess in either way it could be like they might just get infected and not die. But yeah. First up is Tracer. I think Tracer's ability to blink and like return time, I think would be very beneficial. I think she would probably survive. I think that's a fair statement. I think it could sometimes go either way, but I don't know necessarily how her power works, but at least in game, she could probably dart away pretty fast, and if she got in some sticky situation, to be able to revive. It would be very stressful for her, and I think she would have a tough time, but I think she would survive. Next up is Reaper with his guns and his ability to turn into smoke. I think it would give him a great opportunity. I don't think he actually has any bodies to bite, like body parts necessarily to bite. So I think he'd be fine. Next up would be Widow. Now, Widow's kind of a weird one because I think she'd be able to kind of get away and she has like a gun and all that. But I think altogether, like if she gets kind of pinned down and they're chasing her, she's gonna have trouble. Like if you dive her in the game, she can't get away. So I think Widow dies. I think that's how it goes. Next up is Farah. I think Farah would put up a good fight. She obviously could fly away, but I think eventually she's gonna have to drop the armor and get out of it or run out of gas. And I think after that, she's just kind of a sitting duck. She's kind of limited to ammunition and stuff like that, so I think she will die. Next up is Reinhardt with his armor and his speed and being able to move around. Again, like the power source, I think will be eventually kind of a little bit harder for him. I do see Reinhardt surviving a long time, but it could go either way. I think he has that ability that he could, but he also and like the shield and all that. I think he could have some very good opportunity to get away and do some stuff, but I think his time would be limited at some point. Next up, you got Mercy. Mercy can technically, I think, fly in universe. I mean, in the game, she kind of glides and goes around. She has a healing property, so I guess if she gets kind of bit, she might be able to heal through that. I would say that she would survive. I think it's kind of a 50-50 thing. But I think her power is kind of just unlimited, so I think she would be able to heal and get around and maybe even resurrect one of the zombies to not be a zombie. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Next up is Torb. His ingenuity with like robots and stuff, I think would keep him alive for a long time. And with turrets and stuff like that, I think he would survive. He's a little bit small and a little bit harder to get away, so he might have an opportunity to get bit or something. But I think overall, I think his ingenuity with his weapons and stuff is just crazy, and his alt could definitely take out a big section of zombies. Hanzo with the bow and arrow, I think, is definitely up there because he has an ability to like make the weapons and stuff. I think his ability to wall climb and do stuff like that would keep him alive compared to some of the other people. Next up is Winston. I think Winston in general is pretty smart and can come up with a lot of stuff. I think like his survivability, if he gets kind of pinned in an area, is a little bit rough. Like he can jump out of it, but I think in game he's even a little bit struggling. Uh, I think Winston can go either way. I think the tanks are kind of like that because tanks tend to have like the survivability of like jumping out, but like again, Winston is like he's kind of a big target, and that's a big space to be trying to get into if he's in a small area. Next up is Zenyatta. I feel like Zenyatta would not necessarily die because I guess I don't know how it works for him, but he would get like ripped apart if the zombies just decided to attack him. I'm gonna go either way because I don't know if they would attack him. Same thing with Bastion. I think both of those because they're I don't think they'd be like going after them. So because they don't have like anything in it, but like if they got caught in an area, they were just like blindly attacking them. They probably just rip them apart. So that part could go either way. Next up is Symmetra. I'm assuming most of like her powers are kind of unlimited. Kind of, I don't really know exactly how that stuff works. I think with that, with the teleporter, could definitely be useful. The turrets could be useful, even if she has like a limited amount of turrets. So that being said, I think she would survive. I think it would be a little bit more rough, but I think with turrets and stuff like that, if she found a good place to hold up and just have turrets in the right spot, I've seen teams get wrecked by it, so it would make sense. Zarya is like massive and like, but I think she's a little bit slower. So like, I think like if enough zombies got on her, I think they could kill her. I think her weapon would be pretty good and her ult would be pretty awesome, but I think she wouldn't be able to get away. Cassidy is another one. I think he has just a limited amount of bullets and the ability that he's just not going to get away if he gets kind of cornered. He has no escapability, even with his little spin. Soldier's another one. I think he has like the healing that could help him out. He has the shooting. I think he would put up a hell of a kill count, but I don't think he survives it. Lucio's a weird one. I don't feel like Lucio has like the like I don't think he would want to survive in a zombie apocalypse, but I don't really see him dying in it. I think his speed could go and help him out. I'm gonna go either way because I feel like if Lucio died, it'd be him doing something like stupid, but you know that doesn't mean he would necessarily die. Roadhog with the hook and stuff, but he's just so slow. Like I feel like that's the main thing here. If you're kind of a slower guy, you're gonna have a harder time. Um, Roadhog would go into death. Junkrat, I think, would go out in a blaze of glory, but Junkrat would easily be eaten. Diva and her mech, I think, is pretty solid. It's just the limitability of the mech. If she could keep the mech going, she'd probably be around for a while. But I think like a lot of these other guys, I think it's just I don't think she's gonna survive it. I think like just being in that mech, it's not gonna be enough. That eventually she's gonna be taken out. May, if her abilities with ice are pretty endless, I think she could possibly get away with walls and the ice box. Um, it would be difficult. I think it could go either way, but I think she would have some survivability. Genji, I think, would survive. I mean, he has a lot of speed on. He has like the robot type armor and stuff, so I think he would be fine. Again, I don't know necessarily if he has to charge this stuff, so that might be the only issue. But I think overall, he'd be pretty good. And if she's got high ground, I think she would survive a long time. Again, I think like her ability to get away from stuff would probably be her downfall, and just not being able to see as much could definitely be part of it. Sombra could turn invisible, so I think that kind of puts her like in the ability to survive. It's kind of limited in the game, but sometimes she could just stay invisible the entire time, and as long as they don't have like some type of super smelling or something, or she didn't bleed or something, she would be pretty solid to live. Arissa's one of those ones that's like slow and would probably get attacked, but I think it'd take a lot to take her out. I say it'd go either way, but I think they would lose a lot of zombies with her whole kit. Doomfist, I mean, most of it is like based off of his arm and stuff. I don't know if he would really have like a really big ability to do much. I think Doomfist would die. Moira, she would be experimenting on the zombies for one, but I think they'd eventually get her. She does have like her power kind of is generated, so there would be a possibility, but I think she could get overwhelmed pretty easily. She would survive a long time, and she has a lot of survivability, but overall, I think she would eventually perish. Brig is a little bit faster, got the shield, got the mace. I think it could go either way with her. I think she has the same thing with Reinhardt. I think it's just depending on the suit and a lot of that. Hamster Ball is weird because he's just a ball, but he has a lot of mobility and he can get around pretty well. I think Hamster Ball survives. His survivability in the game is probably way less than what it would be in the zombie apocalypse. Um, Ash is another one that high ground would help her a lot. I think she would survive quite a bit. Bob would probably help her a lot. But overall, I think she'd eventually die. Baptiste, I guess like if you think of his immortality field, his ability wouldn't die in there, and with his like the jump of his legs, I think he could survive quite a long time, if not a lot the whole time. Sigma, he's like he kind of hovers off the ground and has quite a bit of defense. I think it could be either way. He's also a little crazy, so I think that could he could just walk up and get eaten by himself. Echo, I think, is one of the few robots I think that will definitely survive because she can fly around pretty well and kind of stay out of the fane. Sojourn has a lot of like robotic parts, so I think she would have a better shot with her railgun. She kind of has a speed. I think a lot of out of the DPS that she has one of the best chances. Junker Queen would be just like out there destroying a lot of them, but I just think eventually she would still die. Kiriko is interesting because I don't really know how her fox spirit works. Like I don't know if she would like self heal if she got bit. The teleporting to a friendly could definitely help if she's with other people. I think it could go either way. I think there's like this weird thing that she could possibly survive if she was in a group. If she was alone necessarily, I don't know how her abilities work outside of it. If she would have the ability. Ram's another one that's kind of like a big robot guy. I think like with him when he does like his like punch with the things, I think that would definitely help him survive. I would put money on Ram. Lightweaver, I feel like he's really just like he would be great to save people, but altogether, I don't think him himself would be able to do much. I do think we don't really know his extent of offense because he's like a support in the game, so I think he could have a possibility of surviving, but it's not a huge one. Alari with her healing pylon and the pushback and her gun and stuff, I think could go either way. She has like a power the harness the sun, so like it is made a really good thing. I think her problem is depending on like when you think about cooldowns and stuff like that, if that's like her real ability in real life, that if they pinned her down to an area, she could be in some trouble. But if she could have, how fast she could fly up into the air, it would be a lot. Mogul would put in a big fight. He would take out quite a bit, but I think eventually him being kind of slow might get him. But I'll go either way because I think he's gonna put on a good show. And then we got Venture, our newest hero. They have a lot of abilities that would be good with the drill that could knock people back and going underground. So I'm gonna go with Survive. I think they would have the ability to. It's just yeah, I think like they would could get out of a lot of sticky situations. And that's what I think. What do you guys feel? This is kind of like kind of a weirder tier list, but I like doing some of those because it's interesting to put them in real world situations. But until next time, this is Japan. Bye guys.